Hey everyone, it's Zach with Palantir Research. I know this is late by my usual quick standards of coverage of new deals, but I wanted to look deeper into this to really understand their latest deal with the US government, DoD, and after some basic research, it shows actually there's a lot of room for expansion. And this is for the deal regarding the automation of spectrum coordination. So first, we all know Palantir has a long-standing relationship now with the DoD. The latest deal that was announced Monday with them will enable the Defense Spectrum Organization to support formal and informal coordination between the Department of Defense and commercial licensees. The key thing to note, though, is that this is for a specific spectrum of 3450 to 3550 megahertz. Now, we don't get any numbers here specifically on the finances or how much they'll get paid for this or how long, but some more surface level information on what the deal is doing, and the keyword is going to be the automation of it, because there is a dynamic spectrum sharing here taking place with critical military and defense entities, but also like those commercial entities that I mentioned on the 5G network. Essentially, they need to all be able to both use this level of spectrum while the US government maintains its core capabilities here without any drop in the quality of their communications as well as the security there. Now, I'm not technical folks on this stuff, but just understand it sounds like they're only covering this specific spectrum of communication at the moment of the deal. The bigger deal for Palantir investors is the expansion of this. As noted on the deal, they've put a general sentence on the PR that Palantir software will also be used to demonstrate the ability to support more advanced spectrum sharing use cases. So looking around and finding this article actually back from September of 2022, so it's not too old, there's a lot of useful info here that's kind of similar to this deal, but I'll show the highlights. The US government has been mandated to share spectrums with the commercial side because it's to ensure the US can stay economically and technologically competitive, not only militarily. So it makes sense that they don't only want the US to benefit from this technology when there's a possibility in sharing it securely. But saying it and actually implementing that, though, are two different things. So hopefully Palantir is the solution to this issue. But further down, we do get to draw the similarities from the deal that the spectrum of 3.45 to 3.55 gigahertz, or the same thing if you just convert it to megahertz from the deal, as noted in the PR, seems to be the first step in this kind of work. So it doesn't sound like they've been doing this for too long. But also already available is the 3550 to 3980 spectrum. So it sounds like I'm not expecting anything to come here or any deal in the future regarding that. But further down is where it gets more interesting. It looks like there are more efforts on continuing to share other portions of the spectrum, like the 3100 to 3450 megahertz, which is below the one that we have noted. And this is used by US military radar systems. So they go into more detail, of course, here, but long story short, a lot of the country's defense system relies on this specific spectrum. And critically, this is supposed to be shared due to legislation. So while maintaining security, the DO needs to figure out a way to do this because they can't just give up on the spectrum, vacate it, because there's so many vital portions of the communications that rely on this from land, air, and sea. So lots of pieces are at play here too, with Homeland Security and Border Security as well, who rely on this. Basically, the point is that it would cost them billions of dollars, lots of effort, and they don't want to put towards that in vacating it, this 3100 to 3450 band. So this is where Palantir comes in, though, and this is big. We got the first deal on the initial band of 3450 to 3550. I wouldn't be surprised to see, maybe in the future, it could be a year from now, it could be several years, to see if they're continuing to work on this with the lower spectrum as well for expansion. But right now, it appears that they are trying them out and will determine if they could even expand, considering more critical systems are relying on that 3100 to 3450 spectrum. So it makes sense, though. They don't want to touch this yet until they get a lot more use cases and trust and confirmation when using Palantir that this is going to work. But honestly, the value proposition here is very simple for someone from the outside. You can either spend billions of dollars, tons of time and effort vacating that spectrum or trying to convert it or something, I'm not sure. But you can also just try out Palantir and see if you can coordinate this and make it all work out without having to go through all that work. I think you know what makes sense, at least in the short term. But I'll leave it at that. So what are your thoughts on all this? Do you have more technical folks out here that can help me put the pieces together for this kind of deal? Let me know below, and I'll see you in the next video.